like to call the regular board meeting to order. Today is Monday, October 5th. I'd ask if we could all stand and state the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to make this meeting official, I'd ask Clerk Spencer to call the roll, please, to establish a quorum.
Gutenkopf.
Here.
Pezza.
Here.
Shea. Absent. Leader.
Here.
Rose. Absent. Graham.
Here.
Hipskin.
Here.
York.
Here.
Nybo. Absent. Healy.
Here.
Morley.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Mulliner.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
11 present, 3 absent.
11 present, 3 absent. We have a quorum. Thanks, Clerk Spencer. At this point, I'd like to ask if there are any written communications or petitions from the public. If there are, at this time, if you could please come up and submit those to our Clerk Spencer up here in front. Any written communications or petitions? Seeing none, we'll now go to the public forum portion of our meeting, where Elmhurst residents have 3 minutes to come up and speak about anything related to Elmhurst. I would ask if you do, just please raise your hand, and I'll call on you, and you, upon call on, if you could please state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to go ahead and speak of any issue related to Elmhurst. Is there anybody at this time that would like to speak in the public forum? This gentleman here in the aisle here. Go ahead. There's microphones up to your left.
First name is Rajiv, R-A-J-E-E-V. Last name Vijan, V-I-J-A-N. Address is 949 Linden Avenue. We're close to York and Butterfield. I wanted to talk, I've been talking a little bit with Steve Morley about, seems to be over the past 6 to 9 months, we've seen a pretty dramatic increase in the amount of O'Hare traffic that we're getting over our neighborhoods and a lot of the others. We're not too far from many of the parks that we consistently see a lot of airport traffic, obviously by our house. We've done a lot of things such as calling the O'Hare noise line, the complaint lines, and it doesn't seem to be that there's much of an effect. I'm concerned about it getting a lot worse. I'm trying to understand what we can do to change what's happening, because when we first moved here, none of that was here, and now all of a sudden we're just seeing a dramatic increase, and I would worry for just what the city, from our property values, what's happening. You see what's happening in Park Ridge, and I would really like that not to be happening here, as we're very happy here. So I'd like to maybe get on the agenda what we can do to talk about all the increasing air traffic. I think typically we've always seen it on the north side. We're certainly not used to it in the south side, sort of the main area of York Road and whatnot. But that's what I'd like to talk about.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else for public forum at this point? Please raise your hand. I'd be happy to have you come up and speak. Seeing none, I will now go ahead and close the public forum and go on to item number 5, which is our consent agenda. And I would ask at this point, is there any item that any of the aldermen would like to ask a question on or possibly vote no on that we would want to possibly remove from the consent agenda at this time? Alderman Brown.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Item X.
Item X. Randy? Anybody else? All right, seeing nothing additional, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve the elements of the consent agenda, less item X. Alderman Gutenkopf, Alderman York, and roll call vote, please, from Clerk Spencer.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Pezza.
Aye.
Shea. Absent. Leader.
Aye.
Rose. Absent. Graham.
Aye.
Hipskin.
Aye.
Oh, excuse me, I forgot to call York, I'm sorry. Alderman York.
Aye.
Got that mixed up. Nybo, absent. Healy.
Aye.
Morley.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent. That motion to approve the contents of the consent agenda, less item X, is approved. And now we will go to item X. I ask Clerk Spencer to read the resolution, please, for item X.
A resolution of the City of Elmhurst supporting the IDOT proposed Elgin O'Hare West Bypass, alternate 203, option D, for the Ring Road project.
And at this point, I ask for a motion and a second to put this item on the floor, please. Alderman Kennedy, Alderman Brown, and discussion.
I'll defer to Alderman Brown for
Alderman Brown.
who brought it up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is, speaking about O'Hare, this is a resolution in support of alternative 203 option D for pretty much western access to O'Hare Airport. This has nothing directly to do with the runways, the O'Hare modernization or expansion, but this is a serious issue that could have some very positive economic impacts to the city of Elmhurst and surrounding communities, but it also could have other impacts, being potential additional traffic in the area neighborhoods, one of which is the 3rd Ward. So I'm aware that City Manager Borchert has a very short presentation on this, so I wanted to pull this from the consent agenda for that to be presented before moving forward with the resolution.
Thanks, Alderman Brown. City Manager Borchert, if you'd like to go ahead and put that option on the screen for us, and we can go ahead and explain exactly what we're looking at here. While City Manager Borchert's putting that on the screen, I will mention that this option has been supported and approved by all the local mayors and as well as their councils. What we're trying to do is come to an agreement so that we could tell the governor that Western access needs to happen so that DuPage County sees a benefit from the airport financially and transportation-wise, and that this option is actually an acceptable option by the surrounding communities, Bensonville, Elmhurst, Itasca, Wooddale, and even the Cook County suburbs, North Lake, Franklin Park, et cetera, which have all basically come to support resolutions, and this is one of the things we're looking at. So just to give everybody a little background.
I think actually Mayor DeCiani was going to do a report under his reports relative to this. So we did prepare the 2 exhibits from the website of the Illinois Department of Transportation, the website for the Elgin O'Hare West Bypass. This is on the internet site is www.elginohare-westbypass.org, and they've got a lot of information on that website. But the Elmhurst resolution that's under consideration would put the city of Elmhurst in a position of identifying to IDOT that Elmhurst would prefer this option to be studied. It is the Elgin to the far left, access to the western gate of O'Hare International Airport as shown, and then with the loop to the south, as identified by that big arrow, would be the area that Alderman Bram is focused on as it relates to the north end of the city of Elmhurst. This is the option that Bensonville, Elk Grove Village, and Franklin Park have expressed concern and interest in supporting, in which the Public Works Committee evaluated and concurred in their support, and subject to the council's approval will be the position stated for IDOT to focus on. Why isn't this moving back?
The unique thing about this option too is that the economic impact to our town, as far as any loss of homes or property, is none, and the access of connecting the western access to 294 with potential off ramps at Grand Avenue, Green Street, and or Franklin Avenue are all positive things for Elmhurst as far as access to Grand Avenue and to get traffic to our car dealers, to our industrial park. And this is why we, are not only strong advocates of western access, but also the southern access so that we could take advantage of the airport as well, too. So, there was another option, 402, which didn't have a connection from O'Hare to 90. Similar configuration to this, and actually Mayor Soto and myself urged to get that connection to 90, which would get us better access as well, too. So we'll have multiple accesses from 294 to the Western Access plus actually be able to go right to 90. So there's a lot of upside to this route.
This is the option D that is the preferred position of Franklin Park and Bensonville, and subject to the council's ratification, Elmhurst. And you can see that west bypass, as it comes from Elgin to the western point of O'Hare Field, it moves south and then comes around the south end of O'Hare Field, but it goes east quite a distance before it goes south. It actually goes east of the Cook-DuPage line and east of those railroad tracks that are in Cook County, and connects to 294 as shown in a location that is north of Grand Avenue and again east of County Line Road. There is not yet a determination been made as to what type of ramps will be provided. There'll certainly be ramping between 294 and the west bypass and west bypass to 294, but on and off ramps are part of what will be studied next.
I know Alderman Brom had a concern about if approving this, we have another issue at North Avenue with trying to acquire an eastbound off-ramp off of 294, which would deter a lot of traffic coming through our town that has to turn around and go to North Lake to their industrial park. That is separate from this, although it will more than likely be funded as part of this whole O'Hare modernization project, which from what we've been told is going to be roughly about a $3 billion transportation project in addition to what the airport is going to cost. More than likely, because of the federal funds available of about $146 million, to my knowledge, is going to be built by the tollway, so that the expressways are in a position where they can't build it; they don't have the dollars. But the tollway has already shown interest in that they would build it, and that's why we're trying to go to the governor and say, hey, we understand, O'Hare's happening for Chicago. We need our share is access, and we want to make sure the legislature is loud and clear that we benefit economically from this as well and have better transportation to and from it. So this will be presented by a group of about 4 mayors, including myself, to the governor, with past resolutions from their councils that we're all in support of this. Let's get it done. So, at the same time, the study between North Lake and Elmhurst is also happening, which was started before me taking office. Although I'm working with Mayor Sherwin, and we've got the Cook County COG and the DuPage County COGs, which are groups of municipalities working together to help fund that, and the results of that haven't been given to us yet. But we're looking to, utilize that engineering to solve that problem at North Avenue, which is a big issue, especially in the 3rd Ward, as well as even and primarily in the 3rd Ward. So, any other questions, Alderman Brown?
Yes. In regards, and this is more for clarification, but the previous slide that you were presenting showed some details of the overall plan, even though, albeit a little bit small to read. It does show, and I just want for clarification for especially my ward, it does show York Road being widened up to, I believe it was Irving Park Road, but York Road in the Elmhurst area or anything south of Grand Avenue is remaining as is, correct? Okay. The only other question I have, and Mayor DeCiani already touched on it, was I want to make sure that we are not giving up the opportunity for resolving the issue on North Avenue with the expressways by moving forward with a resolution like this. I know, speaking with Public Works in the past, that there was some discussion of adding a ramp for that benefit in this location being a possibility. I'm just hoping that has been considered, that if this moves forward, or may I say when this moves forward, that we're not losing that opportunity.
That's correct. It's my understanding. That's what, from an operational administrative position, we've been stating from the engineering and manager's office, and consistent with past Mayor Marcucci and present Mayor DeCiani.
My only other question is, in regards to the process, we move forward with this resolution. Right now, the only information we have is what's stated as a draft EIS, which is a draft of possible environmental impact for the surrounding area. I have not seen anything published from an economic or a traffic study, as I mentioned in previous council meetings. When does that come to fruition, so we do have a more comprehensive view of what this really will do in the surrounding communities from all perspectives?
That would be the next level of study, and that is why IDOT is seeking to focus on one more significant option to go through all of those extra details. So with this option being selected, the questions you've asked for more information on, there will be more analysis done on those items.
Is there any particular reason why the City of Elmhurst staff prefers this option over the other one presented?
I think it actually pushes to the east a little bit away from where there would be perhaps more impact. The other option was much closer to County Line Road, and if there would be local access ramps, it might have some negative impact on some of the Elmhurst properties right at Grand Avenue and the northeast limits of the community. And frankly, our neighbor to the north, Bensonville, was quite concerned about much more onerous impacts to Bensonville with that option. And in support of our neighbor to the north, felt that this would be better for Elmhurst and better for Bensonville. And coincidentally, Franklin Park liked it too. So it was like everybody liked it.
So it's not actually eliminating any current thoroughfares, any streets, because this is traveling over, from the picture at least, over Green Street and over County, well, not over County, but Green Street.
Looks like it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, I ask Clerk Spencer to call the roll, please.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Heza.
Aye.
Shea, absent. Leader.
Aye.
Rose, absent. Hipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Nybo, absent. Healy.
Aye.
Morley.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent. That motion does carry. Resolution does carry for the consensus on option 203D. Next on the agenda, item number 6, reports and recommendations of appointed and elected officials. Item A1, I am happy and proud to say that tonight we actually have our recommendations from the Mayor's Finance Task Force, which were literally are hot off the press. This group of 25 individuals has been working tirelessly. I was getting emails about midnight last night from Chairman Levin and Chairman Diamond getting this wrapped up, along with multiple committees, chair people on those committees, and I see Stephen Ray out in the audience, one of the committee members was on the I believe the police and fire committees that looked at all of the revenues and expenses and have made recommendations to us. We're not going to discuss this tonight because this is the first time we're seeing it, but what we will be doing is next week at our committee meetings we will do a committee of the whole where actually the two chair people, Chairman Diamond and Chairman Levin, will actually come and present the report and have support from the people on their committee as well too. So we've got a week to kind of digest this. I was told that because we have representation from the entire city of Elmhurst, meaning every ward, more than likely we can expect phone calls from the committee members to each individual alderman to help them better understand the report and why they arrived at various recommendations. So when I ran, I said I knew we were running in tough financial situations, and I committed to bring the public to help guide us. And so I applaud them for their work and their efforts and for their countless hours that they put in on this. And I'm proud to actually pass these reports out. I'll go ahead and pass them down on each side. Sure. We have extra copies for the press, and I believe it's a 29-page intensive report. And
Can we make sure that the missing aldermen tonight have that in their packet?
absolutely, we'll make sure that they have it in their Thursday packet, and this will also be posted online for the public to actually view as well too. So, again, any questions? We have Alderman Wagner.
I just want to ask the city manager, Borchard, I mean, if we're all getting these tonight, the people that are absent, can we make a special, make a special run, or at least a mailing, that would make sure that they get them in their hands at the same time that we have them?
As Mayor DeCiani announced, this will be able to be seen off the city website. Early tomorrow morning, we'll get it on the city website. It will be accessed from the homepage, the lower right-hand column, lower right-hand side of the city website homepage has got information about the budget and the budget tracking effort of the city council under the city staff, and the mayor's task force report will be accessed at that point. In addition, you'll certainly be able to go to the details of the mayor's task force, which is embedded further in the city website, and all of the task force information will be on that section of the website. But this summary report and recommendation report could be accessed off of the front page of the website. And we'll get to the absent folks it delivered tomorrow.
Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in regards to, you stated next week we'll have a committee of the whole to discuss this in detail. My assumption, and I want to make sure this is clear in what our objectives will be next week, the objectives, to my understanding, is to review the report, make sure that the full city council understands and gets all their questions answered in regards to the report, so we're prepared when it comes to budget discussions to utilize this as a good tool moving forward. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and again, there will be a presentation of the report formally by the committee at that time. We've got some time to digest it up front and prepare any questions that you may have. But the nice thing is the authors, the folks that actually put the sweat equity in will be here next week to present and answer questions and make their recommendations. So I think it's important, again, that we take into community input, that we listen to what our community wants. And we've got challenges. We've got a sales tax subsidy that we've had for many years that is quite frankly down. And knowing that we were going to have a hole, and the hole turns out to be bigger, as you can see in this report, than we expected. It's really important that we understand what we want Elmhurst to be, what we want Elmhurst to look like, what services we want to be able to deliver, et cetera. So, again, these 25 individuals have taken the time and put a lot of work in. So next week will be a presentation. Will give us a week, which a lot of the aldermen were asking for, to digest the information. And any questions, if you feel free to go ahead and start preparing, as well as, again, a lot of the task force people will be contacting the aldermen. I'm told that all 14 aldermen will be contacted and given input right from the source as to why the recommendations are what they are, and we'll go from there. Alderman Pezza.
Thank you.
Will that meeting be televised next week?
Yes, it will.
Yes.
Yes. Alderman Hipskin?
Yes, I'd actually like to right now thank the 24 members of the committee that have put meatloaf and potatoes into this. It is quite a bit of work, and I think they should be recognized. And let's take a look back. There's 24 citizens that took their time out to try and help their community. That says a lot for Elmhurst, and really, I want to thank them. I'm sure the council does too, and I think the citizens as a whole should really reach out to them and thank them for their efforts.
Thanks, Alderman Hipskin. Anybody else? All right. Other items that I would like to bring up as well, too. Actually, Kathy Jordan, who is the chairperson of the Senior Commission, put a call in and was wondering if and when there would be any interest in actually doing tours of housing for seniors. And I kind of told Kathy, I go, given our task force recommendations just coming into us now, to try and, you know, one, I wanted to get a pulse if there was any interest to go look at housing, and two, if there is, do you want to do we want to schedule something before the holidays or after the holidays? Thinking ahead, knowing what we've got in front of us, my personal thoughts would be after the holidays, if we have enough consensus, enough people that would like to go look into housing. But I thought I would open that up to discussion and see if there's any recommendations or desire to go out and look at the various housing needs that we have, particularly in this case would be for seniors. So any questions or discussion, or anybody interested in actually doing any, what I think what they want to do is actually show us all the different senior options for housing that are available, and to show us where we may be strong, where we might be weak, and you know, to give us some ideas, especially with economic development, and if we are looking at other senior housing options, where there's a need. Is there a need for lower income housing for seniors? Is there a need for more affluent housing for seniors, et cetera? So is there a need more for independent or, you know, assisted, correct? So, and Alderman Hipskin.
I think that's a great idea, and I really like the timing of it, because in the wintertime is probably poses the most difficult challenges for the seniors with the inclement weather.
Sure. Okay. So what you thinking, more after the holidays?
Yeah, January or February would be
Alderman
a great
Brown?
time.
Yeah, just to provide a background, and my memory's not as good as it used to be talking about senior housing. The city council did take a few years back a tour of what is currently available in the city of Elmhurst, and it was very enlightening to myself to really not only read the text on what type of housing and what it's meant for, but to see it firsthand. So I found it to be a very valuable experience. And I know in Elmhurst itself, we've had some changes in regards to what is offered, being the, what is it called, the Knupfer House? No longer...
Knupfer House is no longer open.
No longer
for
open.
the respite services they used to provide, correct?
So that's one change that's happened since the last time we took a tour. So, you know, I would encourage, whenever the time is, but to make the time to really understand what's available to the seniors.
Very good. And just want to reaffirm, we do have the largest senior population in DuPage County right here in Elmhurst. So it is a need. I have a mom that's a senior. Fortunately, she's a young senior and more 45 than 65, but it's the Irish. But these are needs. Many of them are parents of ours. Many of them are people that raise their kids in this community and want to stay in this community, and it's always nice to have options for them. So I'll go ahead and tell Commissioner Jordan, Chairperson Jordan, that we will schedule something for, give us a few dates in January or February, and we'll have several aldermen. Do we show of hands as to who would like to participate in this? Alderman Wagner? Okay, Alderman Kennedy, very good. So majority of us would like to, okay, very good. So I just have a consensus as to the input. Very good. I'll go ahead and communicate with Chairperson Jordan and get that going. The other thing I thought I'd update on was our new firehouse. I was there the other day with Alderman York and for the open house on Sunday. It was very nice, very well attended. I think the Elmhurst folks are really impressed with the facility that we have and the quality of quality of our equipment, the quality of our personnel. I think people really went out of their way to, from the staff side, to make people feel welcome. I know I felt my kids had a ball. They were all over the fire trucks, and you know, we had several of the council people out there, which was good to see. So just wanted to bring that up, and you know, we've got a lot of good things happening. For the first time, we actually have a facility that could actually have a co-ed situation where we could actually have female firefighters in Elmhurst and actually have proper facilities, et cetera. So I want to throw a kudo out to Mayor Marcucci and the previous council for actually getting that done. I don't want to take credit for other people's work, but I think it's a great thing that we could be proud of. So. Next on the agenda is item B, and it's update from City Manager Borchert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wish to review again that we're in our budget cycle, and in our budget cycle, there is the beginning of a process that includes essentially the entire community, but focuses on the mayor and the city council as it identifies goals and objectives for the next cycle, the next budget, for both expenditures and revenues. Those goals are articulated in a message to the city staff. The city staff then goes about the business of developing a very detailed budget to accomplish those goals, both on the expenditure side and on the revenue side. That budget cycle you can look at in detail, accessing it off the city website again, but provides that the mayor, city council message to the city manager regarding those goals should be completed in a targeted date of October 26th. That actually dovetails very nicely with the task force report, which has been provided to the mayor, and the mayor's provided to the city council now the first week in October. Arguably, between the beginning of October and the end of October is not a lot of time, but there is some time to review the task force report for the mayor and the city council to understand its own goals and objectives. And I think in addition to at the committee of the whole meeting next Tuesday night, understanding exactly the task force report, from my perspective, it's the beginning of the discussion of the city council as to what are the goals of this city council going to be to the city staff for next year's budget. Again, both on the expenditure side and on the revenue side. On the revenue side, the significant next date is the property tax levy cycle, which is established by the state of Illinois. That tax levy requires the tax levy to be approved by the city council in an ordinance form in December. To do that, there will probably need to be a public hearing, which is 2 weeks before the ordinance that would approve the tax levy, and there needs to be determination of what that tax levy is. So we really need to work through over the next series of council meetings and committee of the whole meetings on the budget, the task force report, what's the goal for next year's budget, how is that budget going to be financed, what is the property tax portion of that to allow for proper notice to hit the newspapers in November to allow the tax levy to be approved in December. There's 4 Mondays in October. There are 5 Mondays in November, which may come in handy to allow then for either December 7th or December 21st to approve the tax levy. And my recommendation would be to target for approval of a tax levy on December 7th. If need be, if there's a fallback position, then you do have December 21st to approve that tax levy. Any questions on that? That's all I wish to report on. And
Ready? And then next on the agenda, item B2 is a report update from our Chief of Police, Chief Neubauer, regarding the Police Department Drug Enforcement Control Initiative brought up by Alderman Healy. So with that, Chief Neubauer.
And as the chief readies, I wish to report to the broader community that provided a memorandum to the mayor and the city council that Chief Neubauer, in recognition of his professional career and accomplishments and his expertise and leadership, has been elected unanimously, I might add, to the position of Chief of the DuPage County Chiefs Association, allowing Chief Neubauer to leverage his expertise not just to benefit Elmhurst, but all of DuPage County. And in regard to his subject, which we're going to review with the community and the council on drug enforcement, Chief Neubauer has been a lead in the area of DuPage County and in his position now, and congratulations, Chief, on this, frankly, position of honor within DuPage County, is able to leverage his input throughout DuPage County for not just Elmhurst benefit, but all DuPage County, and congratulations, Chief.
Thank you. One of the challenges with the Chiefs Association is what we're going to talk about tonight, is changes in drug patterns. And with the Chiefs Association, we gather as a group to work on things like budget issues and collaborate as best as we can. So we try and maximize all the police departments and their cooperation, and we've had great luck with that. Tom asked me to update you on the heroin issue in the community and a little bit about how that's come about. Chief Kopp, my favorite fire chief, has often said when the fire chief gets to a burning building, he talks to the person in charge there and asks them 3 questions. What have you got, what have you done, and what do you need? And I'm going to use that format tonight to talk to you a little bit about our issue with heroin. First of all, what do we got? There's not rampant, widespread use of heroin in Elmhurst, although we've seen an increase, and it's concerning that we started getting information back in May that some young people may be dabbling with heroin. We've dealt with it from time to time over the years, particularly when we arrest people for other crimes that are motivated by their heroin need, and we do get heroin addicts in from time to time over those issues. But lately there's been a change in that, and we were quite concerned. Started out in May, we started hearing some rumors, as did the school. York High School got a consultant from Elmhurst Hospital who's been very cooperative, who talked about behavior, trained their staff, and what to look for in some issues that they might come across in the school. When we got this information, I contacted my supervisor of our COP unit. It's our Community Oriented Policing Unit. It's 4 officers and a sergeant, and we also have an officer in a countywide drug unit, and they do most of our drug cases. He really hadn't heard much, but I asked him to put his ear to the ground along with the patrol officers, and they were able to make a couple of arrests of some young people and start developing some information. Through the course of the summer, we determined that for sure there was about half a dozen young people in Elmhurst dealing with heroin. Historically, we looked to see if there were any changes in patterns for non-student people in Elmhurst in their heroin use, and it was a little bit interesting. This was a non-scientific study off of our bladder. Police departments have to do a daily bladder of what we come across, so these numbers are probably low. But we found out in 2007 we had 11 cases involving heroin in Elmhurst, 2 drug overdoses from heroin, 0 deaths, and of those 11 cases, none of the people involved in them were Elmhurst residents. This is where it starts to change. 2002, we doubled our cases. We had 24 cases of heroin, 5 heroin overdoses that the fire department responded to, 1 death, and of those cases, 25% were now Elmhurst residents. So now we're finding people from Elmhurst who were involved in, particularly in these overdoses, using drugs. 2009 year-to-date, and these numbers are a little skewed because we've added some enforcement that we've gone out and looked for, but we've had 44 cases involving heroin, 6 overdoses, 2 deaths, and those deaths were not high school students. It was a 57-year-old and a 31-year-old, but those were this year-to-date. And 26% of the people in 2009 were Elmhurst residents. So we've gone from essentially a very minor problem to something that really has our attention. So we're confronted with this problem, and the question is, what do we do? Well, the police department response to most things is enforcement, but it also has to be education and information. We contacted Diana Smith right away at York High School because we were concerned about the young people's aspect of this, and she was completely on board, as were other members of the community. We got Elmhurst Hospital to assist us, and everybody that we had talked to was very, very concerned, wanted to do what they could to help. We decided from an education standpoint that we needed to let the community know we had a problem. We did this 15 years ago. It was a model that we used when we had a gang problem. We had a couple of gang shootings in the community, and Elmhurst wasn't overrun with gangs just like we're not overrun with heroin, but it was affecting the community, and we needed to do something. And one of the things to do is to get people information to let them know what's going on. York High School was instrumental then in helping us contact the other two high schools in the community, Timothy Christian and IC, and we put on a heroin forum September 10th. Our goal was to get information out, not to panic people, and to make people understand that we cannot arrest our way out of this situation. I could have all of my policemen go out and do nothing but heroin enforcement, and we'd still have an issue. People needed to understand what the symptoms were. They needed to understand what they could do to intercede with their family and what was available in the community if someone did have a heroin problem where they could get some help. Elmhurst Hospital has a behavioral center that is very, very helpful. And we have Mr. Dave Hahn, who is our contracted social worker, who can also match people with assistance depending on their insurance and their need to help people who may have a problem. What we wanted to do was get the community to understand that if you see somebody or know something, you need to tell somebody. Not necessarily the police. You need to tell the counselor. If you have a friend or a young person that you suspect is dabbling in this, the stakes are very, very high. The heroin that we're coming across now is much more potent than it used to be. Heroin users historically used to inject it with a needle when it was a low potency. Now, because of actually world events, things that are going on in Afghanistan and Mexico, the heroin's coming in much more potent, and people can sniff it and snort it. Somehow they think it's not as deadly. It is as deadly. It is as addictive, as opposed to this sort of phobia about using a needle. So we have this whole world situation that's getting us more heroin. It's cheaper. It's $10 a hit now, and it's readily available on the west side of Chicago and in western suburbs along Manheim Road. So we wanted to educate the community and sort of use the theme that it takes a village to raise a child and make people comfortable and understand that there's places other than the police you can go to if you know someone has a problem. That was well attended on the September 10th forum, and we've had some good follow-up information, and we've had some disclosures to people at the school that people have come forward and identified problems and problematic people so they can get the help before they become completely addicted and it becomes a real and horrible nightmare. At that forum, we had a heroin addict who spoke, you could hear a pin drop when she spoke. She's a very nice young lady who has gone through rehab and is raising a family now, but she talked about the nightmare and the horrors, and she really related well to students. She really related well to staff and adults that were there. And she has spoken to York High School classes since then. We're also going to have a follow-up on that for the middle schools on October 19th. So the people who missed the first forum, we will have a abbreviated version on that date too. That'll be available for middle school parents, October 19th at York High School. So that was our education component. I asked my supervisor in charge of our COP unit, our drug unit, I said I want to plan for some enforcement, and I want this to be twofold. I want to look for dealers, and I want to look for users, so people understand that if you get involved in this, there's also a legal aspect. Possession of heroin is a felony, and that follows you your whole life. Dealing heroin is a felony of a greater consequence than possession. So we wanted to make sure that dealers knew that Elmhurst was looking, and that Elmhurst residents or people who might have a proclivity to do this and come to our town and commit crimes, that Elmhurst was out on the forefront of this. He came up with a plan on September 3rd. He notified 16 other communities. We had done some pre-intelligence where the heroin's bought, and we knew where people were coming from to buy the heroin and where they were going. So we contacted those police departments and said, you know, you have a problem too. Your residents are buying this stuff and coming back to your community. 16 towns sent officers to help on September 3rd. It was a wonderful show of support for Elmhurst and recognition from other communities that this isn't an Elmhurst problem, this is a suburban problem, community problem. We went out, we were going to do two things. We were going to hit the west side of Chicago first for purchasers who go into Chicago and then come back with the drugs, and then we were going to hit the Manheim Road area. We never made it to Manheim Road. The west side of Chicago took all 16 communities and all our officers and tied our station up with arrests. And this was at noon we started this. This wasn't in the middle of the night. This was at high noon on a Thursday. And so the officers all got tied up on arrests. We used our traffic unit and our traffic grant and started arresting the people that we had observed using heroin and in driving for charging them with driving under the influence of drugs, which had never been done before. So we made 4 of those arrests. We made 16 arrests for possession of heroin, cocaine, and marijuana that day, and it was quite successful. The officers were there until late at night. Of course, when you make those arrests, you develop more information and things like that. We then worked with Bellwood and Maywood police and got tied up with information that we had with a drug dealer that we tried to get to come to DuPage County. He wouldn't. So we worked with those 2 communities, and he was arrested in Maywood. He came and made a delivery in Maywood, but it was off of an Elmhurst case, and ostensibly Elmhurst people who were going to buy the heroin. So they made that arrest. And then on September 29th, our cop unit was able to get a drug dealer from Bellwood to come to Elmhurst. It's pretty unprecedented to get them to come to DuPage County. And these 2 people came to DuPage County with 21 hits of heroin, and we were able to arrest them. Once again, Bellwood offered us some support, recognizing that we have to work together to do this. So the enforcement aspect of it goes on, and we will do more enforcement in the future and make people wonder where and when we're going to be. That's the best we can do. Hopefully they'll think we're everywhere, but we will do that education component and the enforcement component. So those are the first 2 of the triad. What do we have? I think we have an issue. And what have we done? Last component is what do we need? Once again, October 19th, we're going to continue our education experience with York High School and have that open again to the public for parents and people who are interested and concerned and want to know what the symptoms, the history, and what they can do to help with the heroin issue. We are going to continue to try and identify people at risk. We don't have to arrest everybody. If we get information that someone's at risk, we'll give it to the appropriate authority, and people can take that information and do with it what they wish. We have notified parents informally, say this is what we think, this is what we know. We get information from other communities. As a matter of fact, the chief of Bellwood told me that he's had more than one. They have the red light cameras where somebody from the suburbs in DuPage County will get a red light ticket, and these people, the owner will call and say, it couldn't possibly be my car. Why would anybody go to that neighborhood or go to Bellwood or go to Maywood? My kid uses that car. And so that's pretty compelling evidence that, well, if they don't have any friends in Bellwood or Maywood, you might want to have a conversation with your child and see what's going on. So we will continue to do that, and we will continue to use those resources. We will continue our enforcement, and frankly, that is made possible out of all the 16 communities that we had on our Drug Enforcement Day. Elmhurst had the strongest internal drug unit, and the resources and the ability for our cop unit to go out and do this. They do it full time. They work with other community issues. They work with other drug problems. They work with alcohol problems and things like that. But those 4 officers and their supervisor can have the time. They have the resources now that they can devote to this. Without them, we would have never done what we've done this far. We still have an officer that's assigned with the state police in the DuPage County Drug Unit, DUMAG unit. Once again, they handle the dealers that are a little higher level than what we're dealing with now, and we turn information over to them all the time, get great response from them. It's a commitment for us. It's an officer that's not on patrol. That's an officer that we allow to go work with the state police, and I believe the rewards are appropriate for our community, and it helps our community. And finally, we will continue with our formal education. We'll continue with the DARE program. We had some conversation during our forum in September at the high school where there was a question whether the DARE program is valid or not. People have to understand the DARE program. Your child goes through the DARE program and gets a certificate. That doesn't mean they're going to be drug-free. This is 10, 40-minute lectures and interactive things they go through to work with some of the issues, warning them about drugs, how to handle it, things like that. Parents need to understand and take that information, as does the school, and I think the school has a handle on this. This is a template as you go on in life. You just can't take this 10-week course, get your certificate, and think that you're drug-free. This is a template that you need to move forward and have discussions with your children, and all about raising your children and all those things that those of us that have young people get scared to death, but it gives you some opportunity, a starting point, and some resources to do that. So I would like to continue that with all those resources and continue going forward, and we will report back as needed, but I think we have a pretty good idea of what we're up against and what we're facing. Not to panic. It's an issue, and we're dealing with it, and as it goes forward, we'll keep you posted and let you know. And I'll take some questions now, if anybody has any questions about the whole.
Any questions for the chief?
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks again for the support and allowing us to have those resources that we need to deal with this. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, chief. Great job. All righty. It's nice to see we've got law enforcement on our side, and they are actively pursuing this issue. And Alderman Healy, I see you with a hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't have any questions, but I did want to say a couple of thank yous. First, to Chief Neubauer himself. I was one of those parents that was, got freaked out, started hearing all the talk about heroin, whether it was the heroin highway, various different things. And Chief spent about an hour with me last week, and I had some questions, and he was very generous, so I appreciate your time, Chief. But I also want to thank the department. In thinking through this whole thing, I can't think that there's many things a city would like to discuss, like a heroin problem. And not, heroin problem, whatever you want to call it. I have to think that there's a strong temptation to brush it under the rug. And our department's not only doing that, our city's not only doing that, they're doing presentations in front of the full council, they're sending out press releases, they're holding forums at York High School. So to the department, to Chief, to City Manager Borchert, I appreciate the time, I appreciate the effort, and I am certain it'll pay off. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Alderman Healy. And yeah, we definitely, as a city, take this very seriously. We don't push anything under the rug, especially this, where it affects kids and affects families. We're out in front, and no blinders on it at all. So, very good. Next on the agenda, item number 7. Other business. Anybody with any other business they'd like to discuss at this point? Hearing none. Announcements. City Manager Borchert, quick hand.
Just 2 quick announcements. Alderman Gutenkopf, in her other role as a board member of the Illinois Associations of Museums, brought back to Elmhurst the Illinois Association of Museums Awards Program certificate for the Elmhurst Historical Museum for the Elmhurst Jazz exhibit, a celebration of an Elmhurst art form in Elmhurst. The Illinois Association of Museums has awarded this certificate of merit to the Elmhurst Museum and to the specific Elmhurst Jazz exhibit. So congratulations to the museum and staff in that regard. And thank you to Alderman Gutenkopf for bringing it back from the state meeting, which we didn't attend because it was, although in-state, it was out of the city. Second item is an announcement that the DuPage County 100 Club Awards Dinner. This is a group of folks from DuPage County that recognize public service, police officers, and raise funds for police officers that are killed in the act of duty, provide awards. Ideally, they don't have a lot of those awards relative to the ultimate sacrifice of police officers, but they do recognize police officers doing significant acts of service. And at the awards dinner on October 28th at 6:30 in Lyle, and any of our council would be invited to attend. Just need to let the mayor's office, manager's office know. Chief Neubauer will be in attendance. I'll be in attendance. The award recipient will be Detective Paul Carney for his recognized locally his effort in saving the life of a young drowning victim last summer during the significant rainfall event. So that event is being now recognized by the DuPage County 100s Club, and we will be there to assist in saying thank you to Elmhurst Officer Carney. And again, anybody in the Elmhurst City Council, if you'd like to attend, or in the community, it is an event that can be attended by the community. That's all I have, sir.
What's the date on that again, Tom?
October 28th.
October 28th. Very good. Got to celebrate those moments, too. You have good people that do good things, so. Anybody else for announcements? Alderman Morley.
Yes. The City of Elmhurst, in cooperation with DuPage County, on October 24th, will be holding a electronics recycling and document shredding event at the Public Works Office. It's the public garage, right, Tom?
Yes.
At 985 Riverside Drive. That was done in cooperation with Chairman Schillerstrom, Committee Chair Jeff Reddick, and our own Mayor, Mayor DeCiani. Again, that's October 24th from 9 to noon. And if you want more information, you can get it at www.dupageco.org/recycle. Just go to the DuPage County website and you can find it there. And I got some additional posters from my good friend and neighbor Bill Fisher that I'm going to pass along to you, Mr. Borchert, and hopefully you can hang it here in City Hall.
Thank you.
Alderman Morley. Anybody else for announcements? Hearing none, it is for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Brown, Alderman Hipskin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We're adjourned.